Hi guys, this is College Algebra, Math 1513, Northern Oklahoma College. I'm on Chapter 2, Section 3. We're doing linear functions. And we're going to find the slope of a line that passes through 2 points that I'll give you. First of all, let's talk about what is slope. Now slope, sometimes it's called pitch in construction. It's called lots of names. In math, we use a lowercase m to denote slope, and all it is how much something rises compared to how much it runs. Okay, now rise is how much something goes up in the air, like a balloon rises in the air, compared to how far it goes over. So it's rise over run, how many steps it goes up compared to how many steps it goes over. Okay, you're really only going to see 4 different types of lines when you are calculating slope. You're going to have a line that goes uphill. I always think about a guy riding his bicycle, so he's riding his bicycle uphill. So that's going to be a positive slope. And you have the lines that are going downhill. Down is a negative direction on a graph, so think about downhill as being a negative slope. So you've got your lines that go uphill, they're positive slopes. You got your lines that go downhill, they're negative slopes. And we'll talk about those other 2 lines here in a minute. Okay, now like I said, when you calculate slope, you compare how much it goes up to how much it goes over. You compare the rise to the run. So let's look at my positive slope. I'm going to erase that word and get it out of the way. Okay, look at my positive slope here. Going from the left dot to the right dot. Remember, when you read a graph, you always go from left to right, just like you read words on a page. So reading the graph from left to right, reading the graph from left to right, how far does it go up? Well, my graph goes up 1, 2, 3 steps up. So when I'm calculating my slope, I would say my rise is 3. It rose 3 steps. You had to go 3 steps up. And how far did you go over? Well, we went 1, 2, 3, 4 steps over. So my run would be 4 steps to the right. I went 3 up and 4 right. 3 steps up, 4 steps right. That's a positive slope, and it's a positive slope of 3/4. Both numbers are positive. That means my line's going uphill. 3 steps up, 4 steps right. All right, let's look at the negative slope, the one that's going downhill. And remember, I'm going from my left dot to my right dot. I'm reading from left to right, going from left dot to right dot. What is my rise? I'm asking myself, how much does it go up in the air? Well, this one actually doesn't go up, it goes down. So we have to take 1, 2, 3 steps down. All right, so my rise is 3, but since I'm going down, it's a negative 3. It's a negative rise. How far did I go over? I have to go 1, 2 steps over. So my run is 2. Now notice that the run is always going to be a positive number. My bottom number is always going to go to the right, and it's always going to be positive. The only thing that's going to change is that your top number will be negative if it goes downhill and positive if it goes uphill. That's the only thing that will change. You're either going up and over to the right, or you're going down and over to the right. All right, so on my negative slope, on my downhill slope, I was going 3 steps down because it was a negative 3, but still 2 steps to the right. The run is always to the right. All right, let's talk about our flat line there, our horizontal line. So I'm going to calculate the rise over the run going from the left dot to the right dot. And I'm asking myself, going from the left dot to the right dot, how much do I have to go up or down? How much do I have to go up or down? And on a flat line like that, I don't go up or down. So my rise is 0. All I'm going to do is step to the right. How many steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to take 5 steps to the right. So my slope on a horizontal line is 0 over 5. Now that's something we can actually do in the calculator. 0 divided by 5 is 0. So your horizontal lines, they have a slope. It actually is a number. It's the number 0. So horizontal lines do have a slope. Now the problem is with these vertical lines. So going from one dot to the other, and I can't really tell on this one which way is left and which way is right. So going from, I'm going to say, the top dot to the bottom dot, what's my rise? Well, since I'm going down 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to say that on this one my rise is -3. I went down 3 steps. And how far did I go to the right? Well, I didn't go to the right. So my run is 0. Now this is a problem because you guys remember we can't divide by 0. Nobody can. So since we can't divide by 0, if you try and put that in your calculator, it's going to come up with an error. So -3 divided by 0 on your calculator will show error. And what we say is, since we don't know what division by 0 is, since we can't define it, we say it's undefined. So yes, these kind of lines do exist, and we can put them on a graph. We just can't tell you what their slope is. We say it's undefined. So horizontal lines have a slope of 0. They really have a 0. They really have a slope, and it is a number, and that number is 0. Vertical lines going straight up and down, they don't have a slope. We either say they have no slope, or usually we say the slope is undefined because we can't define it. All right, here's some lines for you guys to practice on. I want you to calculate the slope of each one of these lines. All right, so let's get started with slope number 1, and you guys can pause the video and do this on your own if you want to. Slope of line number 1, I'm talking about this line right here. All right, going from left dot to right dot. What's the rise? How much does it go up? It doesn't go up at all. So rise is 0, and it goes 5 steps over. Remember, we count the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to the right. So 0 over 5 on the calculator says that flat line, its slope is 0. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. All right, let's do the slope of line 2, going from this dot to this dot. How much do you go up? You have to go up 1 step and 5 steps over. So our slope is 1/5. Look at line 3, and you guys can pause the video anytime and try these and then check your answers. Line 3, we have to go 2 steps up and 5 steps over. So that has a slope of 2/5. Line 4, you have to go 3 steps up and 5 steps over. So it has a slope of 3/5. Notice how our fraction is getting bigger and bigger as the line gets steeper and steeper. So we went from a flat line with a slope of 0 up to 1/5, then up to 2/5, then up to 3/5. Notice how that number is getting bigger and bigger. So the steeper the line gets, the bigger your number gets. All right. Line 5, we have to go up 4 steps and 5 steps over. Look at line 6. Line 6, we're going at a 45-degree angle through all the corners. That's a 45-degree angle line, and we have to go up 5 steps and over 5 steps. Now that fraction we can actually simplify to 1. So a 45-degree angle line that goes corner to corner is a slope of 1. It goes up 1 and over 1. You can see that right here. It goes up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, and so on. All right, line 7. So going up to line 7, we have to go, let's see, 5 steps up and 4 steps over. And notice how our fraction is actually bigger than 1. We could change it to 1 1/4, but I don't really want to. I like to leave slopes as a nice improper fraction. That way we know how many steps up and how many steps over to go. Line 8. We have to go up 5 steps and 3 steps over. So 5 over 3, which is about 1 2/3. But again, we don't want to change it to an improper or to a mixed number. Now, if it simplifies to a whole number, that's fine. Like the slope of line 6 simplified to a slope of 1, that's fine. But we don't really want to change it to a mixed number. That gets confusing. Okay, line 9 is up 5 and over 2. So up 5 and over 2. Notice that if we do simplify it to a mixed number, we're up to 2.5. And notice how our number is getting higher and higher and higher. So just to show you how our numbers are increasing, I'm going to put the mixed numbers over there, but I don't want you guys to change your improper fractions to mixed numbers. So I'm going to draw a line through them. I just want you to see what's happening. So it went up to 1 1/4, 1 2/3, 2.5. The slope of 10. We go up 5 and over 1. So up 5 and over 1. Now that one we do want to simplify because it simplifies to a whole number. So that one's a slope of 5. See how our slope is getting steeper and steeper? And then finally, our vertical line, our straight up and down line, it goes up 5 steps and over 0. And remember, whoops, that's a 0. Remember, we can't divide by 0. We can't define that. So we say it's undefined. So there's some practice with slopes for you. Okay, now what if I give you a couple points and I say, hey, what's the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points? Well, there's a easy way and a hard way to do this. Let's do it the hard way. Hard way is to draw the graph and put those points on it. So the point 1, 2 is 1 step to the right and 2 steps up right there. And the point 4, 3 is 4 steps to the right and 3 steps up. So we're talking about the line that goes through those 2 points. So we can actually get some graph paper and draw our axes and graph the 2 points and draw the line and then look at them and calculate the slope. And we can see that the slope going left to right means we have to go up 1 step and over 3 steps. So that has a slope of 1 step up and 3 steps over. It has a slope of 1/3. That's the long way to do it. It's not that hard, I guess, but that's the long way. The short way to do it, to calculate the same slope, is just to calculate the rise by subtracting your y's. Notice how that kind of rhymes? Subtract your y's, your y values. That tells you how far you go up. And your run, remember we said slope was rise over run? Calculate your run by subtracting your x's, okay? Now you can get fancy and put your sub 1, sub 2 in here, or whatever you want to. I don't really worry about that too much. So to find the slope, subtract your y coordinates. To find the rise, subtract your y's. To find the run, subtract your x's. And remember, this is your x, this is your y, this is your x, this is your y. And it doesn't matter which one you start with, as long as you start with the same x and y every time. So I'm going to start with this x and this y. So I'm going to calculate slope by subtracting my y's. My first y, 2, minus my second y, 3. Now since I started with the y of 2 up here, I got to start with the x of 1. So I start with the 1 for the x, minus my 4, my other x. And I do the math. That's going to be -1 over -3. Now we need to simplify that because we have 2 negatives. Remember, 2 negatives always make a positive. So -1 divided by -3 is really a +1 divided by a +3. And we get the same slope. It's just a little bit quicker. Now just to show you that it would have worked either way, I'm going to start with the other x and y and do the same calculation. So starting with 3 minus 2 over 4 minus 1, I get 1 on top and 3 on bottom. I get the same slope, a little bit quicker. I didn't have to deal with the negative numbers. All right, the last thing I want to show you is to be careful with the negative numbers when you're calculating slope. So slope, remember it's rise over run, and I always remember y's rhyme with rise, so I'm subtracting my y's on top and subtracting my x's on bottom. So let's subtract our y's. I'm going to start with the -1. -1 minus the other y, 4, over, now here's where you got to be careful with all these negatives. My first x, -5, minus my second x, -3. So that those 2 negatives we're going to have to clean up here. All right, so on top, -1 minus 4 is -5. On bottom, we have -5 minus -3. Remember, minus -3 really turns into plus. So we have -5 plus 3. That's -2. Simplify a negative divided by a negative is really a positive. So our answer is really +5 over 2. So that line's going to go uphill. It's going to go up 5 steps and 2 steps over. All right, one more that's kind of tricky real quick. You guys might pause the video and work this out for yourself. Find the slope of the line that goes from -3, 4 to 2, 4. Remember, it's rise over run, y's over x's. So I'm going to subtract my y's. And I'm going to start with the second x and y this time, just to mix it up a little bit. So second y minus first y over second x minus, watch that -3, minus -3. And then do your math. So we got 0 on top. 2 minus -3 is really 2 plus 3, which turns into 5. Now the question is that undefined or is it 0? And if you can't remember, just plug it into your calculator, and your calculator will tell you. If you do 0 divided by 5 on your calculator, it will give you an answer of 0, which is a number and a slope. It's a real number and a real slope. So that means we're talking about a horizontal line that doesn't rise, okay? If you plug it into your calculator and get undefined, then you know you're talking about a vertical line, which we can't define the slope.